Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for the second part of the new moon in Cancer horoscope. So in the first part I kind of said how we can alchemize this energy to favor us, and also that the lowest expression of this energy can hit very low because of Black Moon Lilith. Now, yes, the second part is mostly dedicated to her because she is conjunct this new moon. And in the sign of Cancer, she's also a mother. So she has a very almost morbid kind of comfort in this part of the sky because she's a lunar energy as well. And the ruler of the sign, Cancer, the moon, is conjunct the sun and moon and her. So there's a strong synergy and alchemy here. So her most darkest expression is where she eats children, according to the legend, and in the sign of the mother. So she's exactly where she has to be her darkest self. Now, the eclipse and everything that we experienced so far, astrologically and alchemically, and perhaps prophetically, if that makes sense for some people as well. Well, what we experienced activated the shadow and activated. This isn't the shadow. The shadow is itself a victim of something much greater than it. The true, hideous aspect of all creation. So that is strongly at work in the world. So you can imagine that the darker expression of the energies are going to be darker than usual. And Cancer is the dark mother. This is where the dark feminine uses her femininity and her ability to give life to birth, abominations, monsters. Lilith is highly sexual. This is the most twisted kind of sexual expressions. That which is so hidden, so dark that it has to be hidden even from the divine. The only reason why the divine permits this act is because it just can't force itself to become aware of it. It's that disgusting. So I'm not gonna name what this can mean because I just can't. But you can imagine that that energy wants to birth itself. So it's gonna have victims in this day and age, of course it will. But even people who will not get that end can still be strongly triggered. If you're a female and a mom, this energy is gonna make you feel like a bad mom. Don't listen to that. No, you're not a bad mother. In an imperfect world, even moms have to be imperfect. Perfect moms are not as in they cannot be the right mom because all of us are imperfect. So we have to learn from sometimes the imperfection of our parents are better alchemically, especially than all the good side, because harsh life lessons, the wound, the mistrust, those make us strong, and we feed on those like it or not. And this is under this energy, we have to admit it and be aware of it, and that's how it doesn't get the worst of. They're not bad parents. Sometimes we can't help our children. Our children have free will, and we can't blame ourselves for what they do, what they choose to do. So, this energy is the way it is. If it triggers you in this sense, let it pass through you and not reach your heart of hearts because it wants to give birth to a new reality. Don't allow it. If anything, this should make. What should you do? Turn to the spirit and just absorb the parental energies from everywhere around you. Learn to be a better parent, and that's it. You can learn to be a better parent from having pets or watching Animal Planet. Because animals are perfect parents. Because nature makes perfect, as in she knows what she's doing. So we are no one who is in tune with nature is. So that's the plan B. You're not a highly spiritual person, no problem, spend time at nature. And with your children, you'll become a better parent. So nature has a cure for everything. That is where we get to plan C. There are herbal remedies for mood swings and for wishy-washiness. Delight yourself with something. North Node in the sign of Taurus. This is when excite your five senses because you really, really need it, and it changes everything. It changes your mood, it changes how you alchemize a new moon. It changes how you don't become a victim to the darker side of that energy. You actually become a healer because what does Cancer do? Nourishes. It can extend its own self nurture to others. So, or some people who were parents but their children are moved out, grown up, etc. This is the perfect moment to do charity work, go to children's homes, or just, how should I say? Nurture your friends, like it or not, invite them over for dinner, unite people, alchemize this energy into something positive. Don't let it make you feel like a bad parent because that's what it wants to. The other darker expression of this energy, don't let it fool you because Cancer has a very I want it to side of it. You see a neighbor, a friend, and it's a cardinal initiatory energy. Mars out of balance, I want. Aries, I want, I want, I want, I want. So with Jupiter, well, if you want, you have to get it square to the new moon by any means necessary. So don't let your desires and I want be rulers over your being. Rather, make sure that it's truly your higher self, your soul that rules. Because, sometimes we don't want really. We saw the neighbor, we saw this friend, we saw a cousin, we saw someone have something, and that's why we wanted to. And also, the darker expression of Black Moon Lilith likes to use this against us, because why should you not have it and they have it? Why shouldn't you? Like, let's be serious. Are you smaller than them or something? And it's emotional. She tricks you, wanting, emotionally dreaming how good I would feel in that car, Or why should I not have a lover in my life right now? Like that best friend of mine or whatever. So this is the downside of Cancer, because when it wants, it wants. It's not all the cardinal signs, the element is different, but when they want, they take action, initiation. All of them do this. It doesn't matter. Even Capricorn does it. And Capricorn is a cardinal sign who has experience, who learned not to do it. And there are times in life when Capricorn says, I allow myself to fall right now into the trap, whatever, I'm definitely gonna do it. The initiatory spirit is that. They can't help it. So Cancer has this as well. So Cancer gets what it wants with emotional projections, empathy, reverse empathy, prayer. Cancer is an inner alchemy lab built in it, even for non-spiritual cancers. They know how to twist the law of attraction. Cancer can do that, even if they're the most blocked cancer ever. They still do that, so they always get what they want, really. The problem is they have to wait a long time for it, but it's under such an aspect when they get it, This is when the wait is over, but make sure that you don't get the darkest expression. Now, the other problem is this Jupiter square to the new moon. This is about the past. So, emotionally, the patterns of our parents, of our forefathers, the darkest expression within our culture, our genes, borders, our ethnicity, it activates strongly. So we also can be a little bit the darker, as dark as our nationals, co-brethren, our brothers, sisters of the same nationality. We also bear the same karma. And every nation, every country, every ethnic group has a dark side. And them inside, so us, as me having Hungarian and Romanian blood, I know the dark side of my people. I know that, for example, Hungarian blood has a volatility to it. And they say things and or they fist fight immediately, and after 10 minutes they're perfect little angels, and even they ask themselves, well, what did I do? You know, every nation has a dark side, and this activates in the blood. Cancer, you know, it's inside of us, it's inside of our genes. So so knowledge, self-knowledge, knowledge of our co-nationals, of our history, past, etc. Because we must make sure that we are not triggered more than it's healthy, you know what I mean. But we can also see this playing out in our local community or on the world stage. Borders. Don't cross my border. Some cultures take in refugees, others don't. So this already leads to conflict of energy, conflict of individuals. The war may be a subject of discussion which leads to conflict. This is also where Cancer, old enemies, karmic enemies, the old conflict sparks, especially borders, neighbors, between neighbors, my territory, your territory. This is a strongly territorial energy. So this is how conflict is born, new moon. And conflict which lasts for generations, also Cancer, new moon. And everything is so karmic in the sky. Neptune in third decan, Saturn in third decan, Pluto in third decan. The big power players, the heavy karma boys, are in third decan. So that means anything that's created under their energy in the third decan is meant to last. So you pass it over your children. So rather use every retrograde and everything possible to heal. Welcome the purge, welcome the torture. Be glad that it's you suffering it through and not your children. So it's hard, it's heavy, it's so, how should I say, it is, we're all in this together. But we must be grateful, even if you're someone like me who will not have children. But let's be grateful it's us and not children, not our youngsters, not we and our generation, especially people who have Pluto in the sign of Scorpio natally. We're born to clean up. And maybe I'll make a video about Pluto in the sign of Scorpio, because our generation is made to clean this up. Is made to make sure that our children will not live in the same filth as we do. And, you know, filth as we do, what does that mean? On one hand, sexually. Why? Pluto in the sign of Scorpio, its own ruling sign, coincided with the AIDS getting out of control. Well, what does the AIDS mean spiritually, regardless of how it came into human laboratory or whatever? But yes, spiritually, the universe allowed. Why? Because it's our filth. We have to make sure that we want to have connection with other being. If our soul wants it also, not just our body, that's it. That's the filth, really. Going lower than that, well, that's inexcusable. But we are meant to clean it up. How? By figuring this out, that we have to do it with the soul, because that's okay. If two souls genuinely want to connect to each other and exchange a bit of compassion and empathy and sympathy and touches, that's okay. That's absolutely okay. Human species as a species is not subspecies. Not everything is monogamous by nature, for example. So, how should I say this? But there is a difference between genuinely wanting to connect and this being true to your nature, and it's something else when we make something profoundly unholy and make it against the spirit. If a sexual act is against the spirit, then what we create as energy is something deeply satanic, and then we wake up and wonder why our lives are the way they are, and we that which you don't see, the spirit, any kind of spirit sees you and knows you. You don't know it, but it knows you. So that means even the creator, the source, you don't see it, but it sees you. So don't do or how should alchemize even your urges in such a way that it's not disgusting. Do it to you. Respect yourself. So anyway, why am I saying this? Because this is Black Moon Lilith's speciality. She brings up the darkest of urges. Don't listen. And this is the blockage. This is the defense. Without this, it's hard to resist, because the libido is the strongest energies that can corrupt even saints. As like Lilith herself, when she saw a human being, she was so disgusted. She said to the creator, well, look, this is an animal. You promised me a god. And the creator said, but evolution, and you care for it, nurture it, teach it, because you're more divine after all, right? You promised me here and now. Bye. Okay, if that is what you want, then go back home. Sorry for the inconvenience. But instead of a misunderstanding, solving the misunderstanding, Lilith saw another type of child of the divine, which is more angelic, which is perfection itself. She went for that. So, if she corrupted the angelic realm, well, we should fear this energy in a way. We should not allow it close to our hearts. We should respect it for what it is. Keep it in nature. In nature, she cannot express herself fully, just as predator and prey. In our multidimensional realm, she can, because we are the gateway, the door, the physical door between the divine and the abyssal. So we live between the worlds. 3D, our nature is between. So everything has access to it, and nature knows how to block out the unholy. We humans don't, unless we are connected to nature. Living in cities that immediately, regardless of what you do for a living, regardless of what incarnations you have, regardless even if you're an extraterrestrial, you're immediately subjected to an unnatural living. You're vulnerable, regardless of how you protect your energy. If you don't sleep under a tree, or you don't have trees around you directly, you're vulnerable, and you know this. So, yeah. At certain astrological events, when evil is evil, we have to speak how to protect ourselves. And how to protect ourselves from Black Moon Lilith's any expression is just this. See yourself through heaven's eyes. If you have an act, any act, if that in its nature is disgusting, and if that in its nature laughs, mocks creation, then don't do it. Then you will feed Lilith. If you do it in a way which is totally natural, you solve the problem. Successful alchemy session. Natural is okay. Not natural is not okay. But if you're smart, you use Venus's expression in the sign of Gemini. You elevate natural to something artistic, or serenade, love poem, love declaration. Use this Cancer new moon. You have a partner. You never ever initiated in a form of poetry. Well, read a poem to your partner and see how she reacts. And you tricked Black Moon Lilith's dark energy in such a way where she is gone. Because you did something so beautiful, so Venusian, that she's not interested in that stuff, no. Because you ultimately live in her upper dimension, where poetry gets you to all the right places. You know, in the world of tomorrow, in the age of Aquarius, let's say, this is where you don't need to be a bodybuilder to get beautiful women. You need to be a good poet, and you know what I mean. So everyone, even Black Moon Lilith herself, has upgrades. She prepared to be present in the age of Aquarius in the form of poetry which enchants. Poetry enters the mind, and the mind is filled with beauty, and the moon and the sky and the roses, or whatever symbolism the poet uses, even the dark poetry. I'm so sad that reality itself is an infinite ocean of darkness devouring me. A goth girl. Well, yes, she's not just gonna fall in love with you, but she'll be your number one fan. She'll force you to write. So that is Black Moon Lilith being something inoffensive, being creative, forcing people to move out of their comfort zones for love and lust and the game of nature. But we are still in between the ages, so the darker herself has not died yet. That skin is still zombifiedly alive. Sorry, but this is how my brain translated this information to me. So she's gonna tempt us. This is where the unholy will knock in our hearts, and we must make sure not to. This is the story of the three piglets: the straw, the wood, and the brick. Cheap tricks, straw is not enough. The wind will blow it away. Wood is not enough. Uranus sextile Saturn at the time of this new moon in a very tight aspect to one another. And okay, working hard for alchemy, it's perfect. For artists, it's perfect. Artists are gonna love it. Intellectual creations. How to solve your problems, how to buy your house, how to make money, how to, okay. But in a lower 3D dimension, this also means that Mars is the lower malefic, Saturn is the greater malefic. They're handshaking. If evil works, it's triumphant. That's what it means. And where is evil? In the mind, and the mind, the head. Aries is the head, Mars is in the head. Mars is with his sister, who is 10 times more malefic than him. They're partying because Aries, everyone's comfortable. Jupiter is in the zone. Jupiter, you know, he doesn't discriminate. It expands everything. Have energy, lightning, the Jupiterian, expression. Jupiter is so generous that it doesn't care, have more. So that's already a bad sign. And Saturn is also very powerful in Aquarius because Saturn used to rule that part of the sky. So for evil, if that even exists, this is strong. So we must make sure not to allow our sexual urges or our dark expressions of love to distort us. Because an even more twisted expression of this energy, how this plays out, when the mom uses the child to manipulate the husband. Let's be honest with one another. Every astrologer knows that this aspect is the way this plays out psychologically. The female manipulates the male with children or with affection or with satisfying his urges or using his urges against him. The dark feminine will be at play here, and they will. This is where the dark women, the Barbie dolls and stuff like that, will expose themselves, and they will hold the leash publicly to the husband or the rich person. It's this energy, the rich and the powerful, and I don't need to detail these because Cancer is also the world stage. Publicly. We will see this publicly. Who the mistress of this prime minister is and what they've done together. The horrible things. Not now, of course, pardon me, not now. In a few months, because they're doing it now. This is the act when they do it and someone films it and but sometimes Mars with Eris, it's immediate, next day it's out. Because surprise, surprise, someone filmed it. Or it was a trap from an enemy, from a political enemy. So what this means on the world stage, I just said it. Because you can deduce, you can make the deduction that yeah, this person, so you just think in your local culture, which politician has who with stars or who's the influence. You know what's gonna happen. But in our lives, it will seek out where we're vulnerable at. Are we vulnerable as a parent? Are we, for example, I just became the parent of a cat. So I know well that it will make me feel that I'm a bad owner, not even an owner, just a temporary one. It will question that if I'm feeding it right, if I'm making it happy, why is it not happy, why not playing? And I will stress the previous owner, come and play with her. But at least I know that it's innocent. Maybe the universe protected me from Black Moon Lilith in the shape and form of a black cat. But this is where it will try to protect you as well. So where is your vulnerability as in the shape and form of Cancer? Where is your Cancerian vulnerability? Because this is on my Mars. Or Mercury. Mars and Mercury. So at least I know. I'm not prepared, but I know. So I'll say, okay. But you need to know as well, and not by astrology. You don't need astrology. You need to be connected to the source. Okay, why lie? That I don't need to translate this. Everyone understands. You need to be connected. Pray, stay in prayer, stay in humbleness, stay in purity. And if you're a strongly spiritual person and have very strong urges under this energy, well, go out, don't resist and see what it attracts. If you attract another spiritual person who is infinitely shy, you're safe because they will just want conversation with you. Alchemy, enjoy it. A friendship is born or your next relationship is born in the form of something innocent. So use the urge to guide you. Don't necessarily, squash it out because this comes back like this is like the the spring or something. It will ricochet back. Be smart. Saturnize it. Saturnian. And Mercury is also holding a very strong aspect. Just a moment, let me look at what Mercury is doing. A trine to Saturn, a very weak trine, but exactly what I said. Intelligence rewards itself. So be intelligent, but in a healthy way. And this is where the darkest expressions of Black Moon Lilith, like the sexual urges and the darkness and the dark parent, and the bad type of relationship, the money-based relationships, the money-based marriages, the darkness in the families, the family filth, and children being targeted, and seeing this in the news and the media, pedophilia running out of control, and who's a pedophile coming out in public eye? Why public eye? Mercury. In Gemini, trine Saturn. The secret's out. So please everyone, if possible, stay in prayer and stay in purity under this new moon to make sure that you alchemize it into something beautiful. This is where, imagine it this way, Lilith herself wants to be the pure poet who gets what she wants through poetry, help her old skin die. If you help that dark self die, help her. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much for all the love, for all the support. Thank you truly everyone. I just don't know how to express how humbled and grateful I am, and I'll try my best to keep up my new project and to deliver guidance, and thank you for everyone's support. Thank you.